This week in Power Presence, we will be taking a look at why you should be using solutions when you are building your business process flows. Let's go ahead and get started. Creating a good business central flow, or any flow for that matter, is more than getting a flow to run successfully. The flow needs to consider structure for security and scale. For this reason, I always recommend using a solution so you can create a connection reference for your service account. Let's take a closer look at solutions. A solution is a folder that contains all the parts of your flow and make it easy to move from one environment to another. In the top picture, you'll see that you can navigate to solutions in the regular home screen. Down there on the left-hand side, you'll see the solutions. When you click on this, it will bring a list of all the default solutions and any solutions that you've also created. In the bottom picture, we get to see a peek at inside of the solution. You can see all the different parts of the flow or the project that I'm working on. The one shown here was actually when I populated a Word document from a flow. I have a connection to the Microsoft Forms and Word. I demonstrated building the flow a few different times, so you'll see that there's actually a couple different flows, which is perfectly normal. I often have multiple flows within a solution, especially if I have a sandbox in production. I'll create a flow for each one of those. Additionally, if I have parent or child flows, I'll also put those within the same solution as well. Let's talk about service accounts. I've worked with several companies who had someone internally create a flow for an important business process. Later on, that person leaves, and eventually they end up removing the Business Central license or whatever license was associated with that flow from the user, and then suddenly the flow stops working. This is one reason that I require all flows that I build to use a service account. The Business Central license I use with that needs to be at least an essential license depending on what access they need within Business Central. But the license needs to match, your service license needs to match whatever process that you're doing in Business Central. Know that this is an additional cost, but the time that you save by automating your process actually quickly accounts for that expenditures. Also, service accounts will give you just the right amount of access that you need so you can have a super user in Business Central, but not allow access to any other part of your tenant. Finally, let's talk about connection references. You can only add a connection reference to solution. Therefore, the first step is to create a solution. Second, you can't create a connection reference if you don't have a connection. So you'll have to make sure that you are connected to the Business Central connector using the service account, which you already have given the correct permissions to inside of Business Central. Finally, you can create the connection reference. These connection references are what makes it possible to move the solution or the flow from one environment to another without having to recreate these. When adding a connection reference, you will give it a display name. I'd also highly recommend giving it a description to make it easily identifiable later. You will be able to select the connector from a drop-down list of all the connectors that are available. And then finally, you will be able to select the connection that you have previously made to add to this connection reference. Let's take a look at how to use a connection reference in a flow. By selecting the ellipses in the right-hand corner, you can check to see which connection the step is using. You can switch between connection references that have been added to the solution as well by selecting it from the list. This change does need to be made on each step. So in this case, we would change it for both of the steps using the Business Central connector. All right, let's take a recap of everything we've covered. If you're automating your business processes, make sure you are thinking about a strong, scalable foundation. By using solutions, service accounts, and connection references, you can easily move your flows between environments and have them not be dependent on a specific user. This allows your flow to be long term and grow with your organization. Keep following us for more Power Presence and be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel.